Have you ever wondered why some people lose respect for you for no apparent reason? Get ready, because in this video, we will explore 9 attitudes or behaviors that might be sabotaging your image without you even realizing it. From the impact of punctuality to the importance of keeping your promises, we will see how these habits influence how others perceive you. At the end of the video, I'll share a crucial tip that could change how people see you forever. But before we begin, if you find value in these videos, please subscribe and click to stay updated. Now I want you to pay close attention to this story, as it will be very important for understanding the main lesson of this video. In ancient Greece, there was a philosopher named Diogenes. This guy was known for living in a barrel. Yes, you heard that right, a barrel, and for his cheeky attitude toward, well, practically everything and everyone. One day, Alexander the Great himself visited him, impressed by his fame. When the great conqueror asked if he needed anything, Diogenes simply replied, "Yes, step aside a bit, you're blocking my sun." Now, although Diogenes' audacity is legendary, it's not exactly the kind of attitude I would recommend if you want to maintain others' respect. In fact, it's a perfect example of the first attitude on our list: excessive arrogance. Have you ever met someone who seems to believe the world revolves around them? Welcome to the fascinating universe of arrogance, the first attitude on our list of how to lose others' respect faster than ice cream melts in summer. Arrogance is like that friend who always has a better story than yours. But why is arrogance so off-putting? Imagine you're at a party and someone walks in shouting, "The life of the party has arrived." I bet everyone's eyes would do a full roll in their sockets. Arrogance is exactly that, but in daily life. Now let's not confuse confidence with arrogance. Confidence is like a good perfume, it attracts people. Arrogance, on the other hand, is like bathing in that perfume. It drives everyone away within a 10-kilometer radius. A study by the University of Akron and the University of Michigan revealed something interesting. Arrogance not only ruins your personal relationships, but can also harm your work performance. Arrogant people tend to overestimate their skills and underestimate others' abilities. It's like believing you can win a marathon without training because you once ran to catch a bus. This overestimation leads to poor judgment and bad decisions. Imagine an arrogant chef who believes they don't need to taste their food before serving it. The result? Dishes that taste like cardboard with a side of ego sauce. How do you know if you're falling into the trap of arrogance? Here are some signs. You think you're always right, even when Google says otherwise. You constantly interrupt others because, obviously, what you have to say is more important. You believe rules apply to others, but not to you because you're too special. You think saying thank you or sorry is for the weak. If you identify with any of these, don't worry, the good news is that arrogance has a cure, and it's called humility. Humility doesn't mean belittling yourself. It simply means recognizing that, like everyone else, you have strengths and weaknesses. It's about understanding that there's always something to learn from others, even that coworker who seems like they were born yesterday. Practicing humility is like working out your personality. At first, it may feel uncomfortable, but over time, it will make you stronger and more appealing in a good way, of course. So, the next time you feel the urge to brag or dismiss others' opinions, remember, true greatness doesn't need to shout. As C.S. Lewis once said, humility is not thinking less of yourself, it's thinking of yourself less. In summary, if you want to earn others' respect, let your actions speak for you. Be that friend who's always willing to listen, learn, and help. That's the real recipe for success in personal and professional relationships. Here's the continuation of the literal English translation suitable for Western audiences, preserving the original video timeline. Let's move on to the second attitude on our list: chronic negativity. Imagine negativity as gum stuck to your shoe. At first, it's just a minor annoyance, but the more you walk with it, the more it spreads, and the harder it is to get rid of. That's exactly how chronic negativity works in our lives. Did you know that chronic negativity can affect your health as much as smoking a pack of cigarettes a day? Yes, you heard that right. A study conducted by Stanford University found that constant negative thoughts can increase cortisol levels, the stress hormone, which can lead to health problems like heart disease, obesity, and depression. It's like your brain is a DJ playing sad songs on repeat. But don't worry, not all is lost. In fact, changing this attitude is easier than you might think. The famous psychologist Martin Seligman, known as the father of positive psychology, developed a technique called the ABC model to combat chronic negativity. A. Adversity. Identify the situation that's bothering you. B. Beliefs. Recognize the automatic negative thoughts that arise. C. Consequences. Observe how these thoughts affect your mood and behavior. Once you identify these elements, you can begin to challenge and change those negative thoughts. It's like being the editor of your mental movie. Don't like a scene? Cut it and rewrite it. Another effective technique is the 21-day no complaints challenge proposed by Will Bowen. The idea is simple. Wear a bracelet and switch it from one wrist to the other every time you complain. The goal is to keep the bracelet on the same wrist for 21 consecutive days. Sounds easy, right? Well, the average time it takes people to achieve this is about 8 months. We complain more than we think. Why 21 days? According to Dr. Maxwell Maltz's research, it takes about 21 days to form a new habit. Although recent studies suggest it can vary from 18 to 254 days, depending on the person and the habit. So if after 21 days you still find yourself complaining about your neighbor mowing the lawn too early on Sundays, don't get discouraged. Rome wasn't built in a day, and your positivity won't be either. It's important to clarify that being positive doesn't mean ignoring real problems or pretending everything is perfect. It's about approaching life's challenges with a constructive attitude. Think of it like being an optimistic detective. You recognize there's a problem, but instead of complaining, you focus on finding solutions. The famous entrepreneur Richard Branson once said, "Don't complain, make things happen." And it's worked for him. He owns his own island and plans trips to space. Meanwhile, many of us complain if our pizza takes more than 30 minutes to arrive. Remember, chronic negativity is like a repelling magnet. Nobody wants to spend time with someone who constantly sees the glass half empty, especially if that glass contains a delicious fruit smoothie. So, the next time you feel a complaint about to escape your lips, pause, take a deep breath, and ask yourself, is this really that bad? Is there a way I can see this differently? At the end of the day, life's too short to spend it complaining. And who knows, by changing your attitude, you might not only earn others' respect, but also find yourself feeling happier after all. As the Greek philosopher Epictetus said, it's not things that disturb us, but our opinions about them. Let's come together to support our community. If you are a kind person, please hit the like button on this video and leave some energetic comments to spread positive vibes. Together, we can make a difference. Now, my friends, we've reached the third attitude on our list. Lack of empathy, or as I like to call it, the superpower that makes people want to run away from you in the opposite direction. Imagine you're having the worst day of your life. Your boss yelled at you, your car broke down, and to top it all off, you ran out of coffee. You come home looking for some comfort, and your partner says, "Bad things happen to everyone, get over it." How would you feel? Probably like packing your partner's bags and leaving them on the curb, right? Empathy is like oil in the engine of human relationships. Without it, everything starts to grind and eventually breaks down. But why is empathy so important? A fascinating study conducted by the University of Cambridge revealed that empathy isn't just a nice social skill to have, it's essential for our survival as a species. It turns out that our ancestors who were more empathetic were more likely to survive and reproduce. Why? Because empathy helps us form bonds, work together, and care for each other. But don't worry if you sometimes struggle to put yourself in others' shoes. The good news is that empathy is like a muscle. The more you exercise it, the stronger it becomes. So, the next time someone shares their problems with you, instead of jumping in with solutions or minimizing their feelings, try simply listening and saying, "That must be hard. How do you feel?" You'll be surprised at the difference it can make. As Maya Angelou once said, "I've learned that people will forget what you said, forget what you did, but they will never forget how you made them feel. Here's the continuation of the literal English translation suitable for Western audiences, preserving the original video timeline. Have you ever met someone who changes plans faster than a chameleon changes colors? Today, they're your best friend, and tomorrow, they don't even respond to your messages. They promise to help with a project, and then forget about it. This, my friends, is inconsistency in its natural habitat. Inconsistency is like trying to build a house of cards in the middle of a hurricane. No matter how much effort you put in, everything comes crashing down at the worst possible moment. But why is inconsistency so harmful to our relationships? Humans are creatures of habit. We like predictability and stability. It's something ingrained in our DNA from the times when knowing where to find food and shelter could mean life or death. A study by the University of California showed that consistency in interpersonal relationships is one of the most important factors in building trust. And without trust, well, we're basically doomed to a life of loneliness surrounded by cats. Not that there's anything wrong with cats, but you get the idea. If you find yourself constantly changing your mind, canceling plans, or failing to keep commitments, it's time to make a change. As Bruce Lee once said, "I fear not the man who has practiced 10,000 kicks once, but the man who has practiced one kick 10,000 times." In other words, consistency is key. Start with small commitments and keep them. If you say you'll call, call. If you promise to be somewhere, show up. Little by little, you'll build a reputation as a reliable and consistent person. And trust me, that's worth more than all the gold in the world. Imagine you're at a restaurant. The waiter brings you a dish that smells delicious and looks perfect. But when you taste it, it's as bland as cardboard. That, dear friends, is what happens when someone lacks integrity. Everything looks great on the outside, but on the inside, it leaves much to be desired. Integrity is like underwear, everyone should have it. But it's not something you go around bragging about. It's that quality that makes you do the right thing, even when no one is watching. But why is integrity so important? Besides keeping you from becoming the villain in your own life story, integrity is essential for building strong and lasting relationships. A fascinating study by Harvard University found that companies with a strong culture of integrity not only had more satisfied employees, but were also more profitable in the long run. Coincidence? I don't think so. Lack of integrity is like a slow-acting poison. At first, you may not notice its effects, but over time, it destroys everything in its path. Lying, cheating, gossiping behind others' backs, all these are manifestations of a lack of integrity that will eventually come back to bite you. As Mahatma Gandhi once said, happiness is when what you think, what you say, and what you do are in harmony. There's nothing more attractive than someone who lives according to their values. So, the next time you face a situation where you could take the easy route at the expense of your integrity, remember, others' respect and your self-respect are worth far more than any short-term gain. Let's build a community of kindness by subscribing to Stoicism for Success right now and sharing it with those you wish to see live with kindness and strength like us. Let's spread these positive values together. Have you ever known someone who always has an excuse? You know, that friend who's always late and blames traffic even though they live 2 blocks away? Or that coworker who never finishes their tasks on time because the universe is conspiring against them? This, my friends, is the lack of responsibility in all its glory. Responsibility is like gravity. It doesn't matter if you believe in it or not. It still exists and affects everything you do. And like gravity, ignoring it can have pretty painful consequences. But why is being responsible so important? Besides keeping you from becoming the laughingstock of your social circle, responsibility is crucial for earning others' respect and, most importantly, respecting yourself. A study conducted by Stanford University found that people who take responsibility for their actions tend to be more successful in their careers and more satisfied with their lives overall. Surprising? Not really. When you take responsibility, You take control of your life. The lack of responsibility is like playing the who's to blame game all the time. And let me tell you, that's a game where everyone loses. Blaming others, circumstances, or even fate for your problems might seem easier at the moment, but in the long run, it only leaves you feeling powerless and frustrated. As George Bernard Shaw once said, people are always blaming their circumstances for what they are. I don't believe in circumstances. The people who get on in this world are the people who get up and look for the circumstances they want. And if they can't find them, make them. Have you ever felt like your time is worth less than others? Today, we're talking about the attitude that makes people lose respect for you. Disrespect for others' time, or, as I like to call it, the art of making people want to strangle you with your own watch. Imagine this. You're waiting for a friend for what feels like forever. Every passing minute makes you more annoyed, and when they finally show up, they don't even apologize. Being late isn't just wasting someone's time, it's sending a clear message. My time is more valuable than yours. And trust me, no one wants to be friends with someone like that. So, how can we fix this? Acknowledge the problem. Admit that punctuality is an issue for you. No improvement happens without acceptance. Plan ahead. Leave earlier than you think you need to. It's better to be early than to keep others waiting. Learn to say no. Don't overcommit. It's better to decline than to arrive late or fail to show up. Set alarms. Use alarms for everything, even breathing, if necessary. Your phone is your best ally in this mission. Prepare the night before. Get everything ready the night before. Clothes, keys, documents, so that in the morning, all you have to worry about is waking up on time. A study by Harvard University found that punctual people are perceived as more reliable, competent, and respectful. So, the next time you're tempted to hit snooze, remember that being on time could be the difference between earning respect or inspiring frustration. Believe it or not, this is a far more common habit than you might think. But why is listening so important? Let me tell you a story that perfectly illustrates this point. In his famous book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, Dale Carnegie shares an interesting anecdote. One day, Carnegie attended a dinner where he met a botanist. Even though Carnegie knew nothing about botany, he listened with genuine curiosity as the botanist passionately explained his work. At the end of the evening, the botanist praised Carnegie for being such a great conversationalist, even though he had barely spoken at all. This story proves something crucial. Listening is one of the most powerful tools for building deeper, more meaningful relationships. So, how can you improve your listening skills? Practice active listening. Don't just hear words, try to understand the message behind them. Imagine you're a detective trying to solve the mystery of what the other person truly means. Stop thinking about your response. While they're talking, when you're planning your reply instead of listening, you're not really paying attention. Avoid interrupting. Every time you interrupt, it's like saying, what I have to say is more important than what you're saying. Show empathy. Try to put yourself in the other person's shoes. How do they feel? What motivates them to say what they're saying? Here's a little challenge for you. In your next conversation, try applying these tips. You'll be surprised how the dynamic changes when you genuinely focus on the other person, making them feel valued and understood. Or, as I call it, the social chameleon syndrome. Do you know someone who changes personalities faster than they change clothes? Lack of authenticity is like wearing a mask 24/7. You might fool some people for a while, but eventually the mask comes off and surprise. No one knows who you really are. The Greek philosopher Heraclitus once said, "Character is destiny. Your true self will always shine through whether you like it or not." But being authentic doesn't mean sharing every thought that pops into your head. Please don't do that. Being authentic means being true to your values, beliefs, and core identity. As Oscar Wilde once said, "Be yourself. Everyone else is already taken." Remember, respect isn't something you can demand. It's something you earn through small, consistent actions. It's about how you treat others and how you treat yourself. So go out there and be authentic. Listen to others, respect their time. Keep your promises, stay humble, be positive, take responsibility, live with integrity. These aren't just random tips, they're essential ingredients for earning respect and building a life of meaning and connection. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications for more content like this in the future. Share this video with those who might find it helpful, and consider supporting the channel by becoming a member. Link in the pinned comment. Now, I recommend checking out one of these 2 videos to keep learning about Stoicism and human psychology. Sending you a big hug, and see you in the next video. Thank you for watching this video. Let's support our wonderful community by hitting subscribe and turning on notifications right now. Show everyone that you're living kindly by liking the video and sharing your experiences in the comments. Take action now to spread positive energy.